Hello, this is Andrea Dumbecki, and this is Angel Life Makeover. You can reach me at angelfairyhealing.com. I am an angel therapy practitioner, fairy intuitive, and energy healer. I offer private sessions and online classes. You can also connect with me on Facebook or Instagram under Angel Fairy Healing with Andrea Dumbecki. All right, so today we will be talking about awakening your reading and healing abilities. And if you're on the Facebook group, this is a free mini 5-day course that I'm doing this week. And day one is embracing your abilities. Your reading and healing abilities are kind of like your superpowers that maybe go unnoticed. But as we evolve, as the world changes, we will find that we're very drawn to using these superpowers for our own well-being. And we use them in many different ways. Our reading abilities are our intuitive abilities to help us have a little more information about our world, help us navigate our life, get a step ahead, get solutions to problems, know how to take care of things in a stress-free way. And our healing abilities or our ability to channel healing energy through our hands, through our eyes, through our voice are really needed right now to heal the earth, to heal one another, and to help us connect with the higher vibrations of the universe. I'd like to tell a little story about how my healing and reading abilities awakened. First, my abilities awakened because I had a deep desire to heal myself. I always felt like I needed to connect with a deeper, more peaceful energy, and I felt like outward things couldn't really get me there. I mean, I could be drawn to a book or a healing course or certain things that would steer me in the right direction, but I couldn't really find a lasting solution to what I was craving. It was kind of like I was craving a more connected and more peaceful life on all levels. And then throughout my own health challenges, emotional challenges, I was pushed to find holistic solutions. So I really got forced into the holistic healing arts and to figure out how to help myself so that I didn't always need to go to a doctor or a healer, so I didn't always have to be dependent on other people to balance me. So my reading abilities were always there as a child, and I'm going to talk about this so that you guys can think about your own life. For me, I would see spirits at night. I would read people that were sitting next to me or walking down the street. I could read their energy, even as a child, whether it was good or bad. I would get a sense of what was going on with them, what their intentions were, and I could also hear things telepathically, which means hearing things in your mind, which is one of the reading abilities. And that is, when we hear things beyond the words that are being said. And this can work in many different ways. You can hear things like, if I get a written letter or email, I'll hear the true intention behind it. Or if somebody's talking to me, I'll read their minds and read their true thoughts. And this helps me to decipher who to trust. It also helps me to understand people's true feelings and relate to them and even help counsel and heal them on a deeper level. So reading abilities are reading other people, reading their true thoughts, reading their energy, and it's also reading our own intuition, talking to angels, talking to our higher self, reading the higher perspective of a situation. So we all do this naturally. We all are naturally reading things psychically to navigate our world, right? We get feelings about things. We get a knowing, even as a child, I remember I'd wake up one day and I'd be like, call this person or apply to this college. There always seemed to be a voice telling me what to do. And the key with that is when that voice tells you something that is in alignment, you'll feel energized. When you get a really exciting idea, like, oh, I got to paint this picture, or I got to go, buy my cat this special gift, or I have to call this one friend and go take a class. Whatever that is your reading abilities, your ability to read the universal energies, talk to your angels. And so when I started to develop my reading abilities, I started to just practice these things. And I had many different avenues. I started first reading getting angel readings or studying angel reading. But before that, I grew up in a metaphysical household, and my parents would take me to healers that would use pendulums and tell me about the history of my soul. And it was always very healing for me. I would remember it forever. It helped me to understand myself on a deeper level, so it stuck with me. So eventually, I started to develop those skills so I could offer that to the world. So I first started reading books about this kind of stuff, and then one of the major influential books for me was the books by Brian Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters, Only Love is Real. He has a collection of books about reading past lives, and I remember my mom was reading those, and then I started reading those, and I was so fascinated that you could heal yourself through reading your past lives. Because read your past lives, you start to understand your issues on a deeper level, and you start to even release the emotional traumas or the patterns in order to evolve and heal yourself physically, emotionally, to help yourself resolve negative relationship patterns, all kinds of stuff. So then I started to study that, and I would receive sessions, and then eventually I started to learn how to do my own readings through using my psychic tools. I would learn how to, ground myself, create a sacred healing space, and then look at the screen and tap into the file. So when I was reading my past lives, I would look into the file. Suppose I'd have a backache. Well, I'd say, okay, universe, I want to look into the file of backache. And then I would, in my mind's eye, watch the screen and notice what came up. And then I would ask the angels to do healing and resolve emotional ties. And I would just pray for healing as I watched an overview of that life. Then when I started to learn about angel reading, that opens up a whole new avenue of consciously listening to the powerful, loving advice of the angels so that I wasn't as fearful in life. I also felt that when I talked to the angels and I asked questions and received answers, there was healing energy attached to that, and it felt like it was like a prayer, like an interactive prayer. And it felt so amazing to me that I was hooked, and I thought, oh my goodness, I got to practice this more. I have to talk about this. I have to hold space for this for others, because it was such a powerful tool in my life to sit and listen to the angels. And when I first started, I would just listen, before I went to sleep at night or a journal. I would just listen and connect, and I would notice right away that I would feel a sweetness. The messages felt very familiar, like they were things that I've been hearing but weren't listening to. For example, they'd be like, have an art show, and it's something I would hear in the back of my mind, but I wouldn't pay attention to. Well, when I started to consciously talk to the angels, they would say it very loud and clear that was our advice, and that's important for you to take that advice. So then for a while, I just used those reading abilities for myself. I was not comfortable using them publicly, and everybody's different. I think for about even 5 years, I just practiced on myself for my own well-being and my own healing. And then I always kind of learned deeper things, went to deeper realms in meditation. It's all about practice and experience. So I next like to talk more about my healing abilities and how those developed. I did grow up being exposed to things like psychic healing, therapeutic touch, visualization, yoga, all those types of things I kind of grew up with, but I didn't practice a ton. But when I was 20 in college, I remember my mom called up and she said, oh, I learned this new thing called Reiki. And so then I was like fascinated, and I remember I asked my other friend, and his mother was learning it actually at the same time. So we started practicing Reiki without getting attuned, and it was very natural to me. I would place my hands on someone, and I would connect with the peace of God, and I would become in a really peaceful state, and that person would become very calm also. I would do this for my roommate at college before they were going to sleep. I would practice on friends, on myself, and I was hooked. It was like I was plugging into a universal peace that would calm my body, mind, and spirit, which really helped me as a sensitive person who had anxiety and who had some negative memories. I didn't really have a peaceful childhood, so I felt like I always needed some extra emotional healing and nurturing. So a few years later, after I finished college, I was at a party, and one of my friends came up and they said, oh, I just learned this thing called Reiki. They're teaching it at the college. You want to take the class? And so then I took the class and I officially got attuned. And then I remember after my hand chakras were attuned, there was new frequencies pulsating out of my hands involuntarily, and it felt really amazing. The energies were very calming on my body, but I did get headaches in the beginning. When the energy channels started to open, I remember getting headaches, and I remember having to talk to the angels and ask them to calm the energy, but I was hooked again because I felt like I had this tool that I could heal myself. I would spend long hours just channeling healing energy for myself, and it was like the one thing that really helped me. Then I continued to go on and to learn my master Reiki attunement, and I also started to get drawn to other healing modalities such as pranic healing, which uses color and is a Filipino psychic surgery. I was fascinated by that. I would go to the New Life Expo in New York City and I would learn about all the different techniques. And then I started to get more into shamanism and soul retrieval and mixing that with angel healing because I felt like our soul energy was something that was very important that we needed. And I started to travel more and more. I started to develop my ability to astral travel through doing Reiki and meditation. I would start to travel more and more to different realms. And I would like to talk on a side note about meditation. Meditation had been an instrumental part of developing my reading and healing abilities because through meditation I would journey to past lives, to other lands, to places that would elevate my spirit, and they would help me connect with the true nature of my spirit and the true nature of other people's spirits. So I continued to learn different hands-on healing, energy healing modalities. I learned quantum touch, and then I started to also learn other things like EFT, Ewan method correction, and other ways to kind of calm the mind and the thoughts. And all throughout this time, I was always practicing these things on my own, but everyone is different. I didn't want to practice these things publicly right away, and that honestly was never my intention, but through being submersed in that for my own self-healing, it just made sense later. I started getting guided to use those abilities to help others. So I want to talk a bit about the hands-on healing abilities and the reading abilities and how that can bring up also some persecution energy or some shame. I definitely had that. My soul loves using these techniques, but I definitely felt like I wanted to hide them in the beginning. I didn't want people to know. Even half of my family is kind of against this stuff or kind of critical of it. So I was very weary of telling people publicly what I was into for a long time. And I had to do a lot of persecution healing of past lives where I was, this stuff was either like told it was unholy or ruled, forbidden by society, by law. A lot of these techniques were hidden, yet my soul felt so right about using these techniques for my whole own healing and self-empowerment because I felt like nothing else could help me, and I was so drawn to these things. I continued to learn new healing techniques and modalities and develop my skills. The major way I develop my skills is through practice and meditation. And I also continue to understand myself on a deeper level without judgment, with unconditional self-love and self-acceptance. Because as a child, I was harder on myself. And even throughout my adulthood, thinking, why do I have to be different? Why do I have to be so sensitive? I can't fit in the world. What am I going to do? And so I wanted to talk about that a little too, about how when we start to develop our reading and healing abilities, how we may feel bad about ourselves or alienated from others, yet our heart and soul is so drawn to these things. I believe this is the awakening of the ancient wisdom, and that this wisdom has been forbidden or controlled on the planet, yet I do feel each and every one of us has the ability to tap into the amazing healing energies of the universe. So we have the unlimited energy of the universe at our fingertips to heal ourselves and heal our lives. And I also believe that through our reading abilities that we can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe, and that all the answers are right before us. But as a society, we're not taught this. This isn't the norm, so it can feel uncomfortable. Yet at the same time, I am always drawn back to these things throughout my life. If I deny these abilities, I don't feel as balanced on earth. I don't feel as whole. So I want to talk a little bit about the specific abilities and how to identify your strengths and your talents. The first thing is clairvoyance. I have extreme clairvoyance as an artist. My whole life I received visions, so I'm a very visual thinker. Clairvoyance is one of our reading abilities that helps us to see the future, see the past, see past lives, and really, see clarity about a situation. And we use clairvoyance through our inner eye. When we close our eyes, or even when our eyes are open, we can have visions that are not, in the outward world. And that is the way the universe is speaking to us. That is one of our reading abilities. The next reading abilities is empathy, which is the ability to feel things in your body. You might do a reading for yourself about a person and you'll feel a lot of fear in your body. That's going to start to tell you a story. So empathy is a major way that we can read people. We can feel what's good. We can feel what's negative. We can really feel what's going on in their body. This is also known, I find, as transmediumship, the ability to go into somebody else's skin and, walk in their shoes and figure out what's going on in their world. And that helps us to relate to one another and understand one another. It's also great to navigate that ability because you don't want to get stuck in that person's energy. So all of these powers take a little bit of practice to get used to using. I call them superpowers, and I find that once I start to use these abilities consciously and in an empowered way, it's really fun. Because I feel like we're using them anyway without controlling them, so we might as well practice controlling these abilities. And I do find that there's some examples of that, especially in this movie called The Time Traveler's Wife, where the guy had the natural ability to time travel, but he couldn't control it and it would torture him. And then his daughter later could control her ability to time travel, and it was fun for her. So that was a great example of how we can make peace with our abilities and have fun with them, because believe me, these abilities that I have been a blessing, but I've seen them as a curse throughout my life. These abilities were so extreme and would awaken so much that I couldn't deny them. Recently, a few years ago, I was working in an office and I was reading people involuntarily in such an intense way that it was hard for me to be in the building. I would feel their health issues. I would read their minds. It was so intense that it was one of the reasons I had to leave working in an office, because I couldn't be around that many people until I started to understand my abilities more or found a more peaceful environment to be in. So we talked about empathy, we talked about clairvoyance. I also want to talk about clairaudience, the ability to hear things, and that's also called telepathy, hear people's thoughts, but it's also connected to hearing, angels and our spirit guides and deceased loved ones. What are we hearing? And this is another one that can be considered a little strange because, you don't want to hear anything negative. And so the way I navigate this one is that if I feel that I hear anything that doesn't feel right, I know that's my ego or a negative energy around me, and I ask Archangel Michael to clear that. But this is amazing superpower, the ability to hear things, because we can ask questions and listen, or we can hear people talk to us. Like my mom's on the other side, and randomly she'll tell me to brush my hair or do something, and it's so obviously that it's her because it's in her personality, and I'll hear it so clearly. Or she'll be like, "Oh, you're watching my favorite movie," or "I love that book." I'll really have that sense of that. Or if I hear the advice of the angels, they're like, "Go, call this person or do this thing or go to the gym." They'll give me some positive advice, and I start to use that consciously through journaling or meditation, and with the intention of asking questions and then listening for the answers and practicing that ability. Another ability is the ability to astral travel. I have this a lot, and it happens without me knowing, so now I do it consciously, but astral travel or soul travel is the ability to travel between realms. You can go to the fairyland, you can go to the angel realm. You can go to the unicorn place. You can go to negative psychic realms, depending on who you're around or what energies you are susceptible to. You can also go to lower energy realms. So this ability is important to understand, and I want to talk about my actually crisis with this ability as a teenager, when I had a major psychic awakening and I was stuck in the negative realms. And I remember my parents had to take me to a psychic healer to clear me, and then I was okay. But it really helped me understand that as a sensitive person, if I'm around negative energies or negative situations, I can also involuntarily travel to negative realms. And that's why I got into consciously traveling to the positive realms, because I knew if I was stuck in a negative realm of some sort, which sometimes happens to us unconsciously in our dream state, or if we're in a very negative place or around very negative people or situations, we can tap into those negative realms. So the way I deal with that is I am really attuned to the angel realms, so I just call on a gateway to the angel realm if I feel like I'm stuck in any of those negative places. So I would also like to talk about energy healing on a deeper level and how to develop that. That's another thing developed through practice and meditation, practicing on groups, practicing on other people, practicing on yourself. And it starts with opening the sensitivity of the hand chakras, and then just having that intention to channel healing energies. And you could use this energies for pets, animals, anyone in your life, or just self-healing. So let's practice a little bit of that. It doesn't matter if you've been attuned to Reiki or not. I just want to talk openly about these hands-on healing abilities because I think they're a core thing in our life. The healing power of touch. When a mother holds a child, when you get a hug, there's a healing energy in human touch because we are constantly channeling energy. And just as I'm even talking about this energy, my hands start to radiate warmth. So that's a positive healing energy that comes out of my hands. I've attuned my hand chakras a lot. I've gotten a lot of Reiki attunements. I've practiced a lot. I do believe we all have this ability and we can reawaken it naturally. It also connects for me to the wisdom of the fairy kingdom because I feel like they are natural healers that, touch plants and animals and heal them. And I do feel we all run this energy. It's like a healing love energy from the universe. But not everybody has the passion to practice this. I'm really passionate about it. I take classes and I practice, but that's because that's part of my soul destiny, things that it's something that I'm drawn to. I also would like to talk about classes. I do feel that classes are amazing ways for us to practice. It doesn't mean that we don't have all the wisdom, but in class settings, it helps us to really hold that space of awakening and acknowledging and embodying our gifts in a group, and it also helps us to awaken all our past life memories and click into that consciousness once again to have permission to practice our healing abilities. So next we're going to just do a little healing meditation to awaken and acknowledge our healing and reading abilities. So we're going to connect with our spirit guides and angels, and we're going to also say the prayer that we would like to get to know our true abilities on a deeper level, that we would like to embrace our true abilities, acknowledge them, and explore them in a loving and safe way. We're first going to remind ourselves that it is okay for us to practice these abilities, that we are normal and natural and even gifted, that we're going to really embody that energy of self-acceptance, self-love, and also patience. Don't push yourself too hard, and also notice that you cannot control these abilities completely. When we do healings or readings, we hold space of love, but we cannot completely control the universe and the will of the universe. We can just embody a space of a higher vibration for the will of the universe to unfold and restore back to a state of oneness and peace. So I'd first like you to just, connect with the angels that are with us right now and the spirit guides that are with us that are assisting. And I'd like you to just receive some guidance about your own gifts and understanding yourself on a soul level. You may have visions of abilities that you practiced as a child or in past lives. Just to be open to whatever comes up and know that together as a group we are going to acknowledge our healing abilities, awaken our healing abilities, and embrace our healing abilities and our reading abilities. If there are energies of resistance or persecution to our complete soul wish to practice this, we're going to release those and open the beautiful energy in the heart of our passion and our intuition that we are drawn to these things for a reason. These are the future of Earth. Even though this is ancient wisdom that was used in the past, it has fallen asleep and been oppressed, so it's coming back to the surface again. So we want to hold that space of permission, that we have the permission to use our amazing healing powers and reading abilities to listen to the universe, to receive amazing guidance and channel peace. So first we're going to work with the ear chakras and the third eye and the throat chakra, and we're just going to do a little healing on our ability to receive guidance. Whatever way that you receive guidance from the universe or your spirit guides, we're going to release any resistance to that and open up our healing and reading abilities. Thank you. And remember that these abilities all work together. When we use our energy healing abilities, you may have visions of the person, or you may have visions of the future, or visions of things healing in your body, or you may start to feel certain things and have an innate knowing. So all these abilities, work with one another. Next, we're going to awaken our healing abilities that we can channel the healing energy of God, of the universe. We're going to awaken that in the nervous system and also tell our body and soul that we have permission to use these healing abilities, that they are normal and natural, and we're going to really celebrate these healing abilities. Just feel these healing abilities run through your nervous system, out of your hands, and if you just like to touch your heart or your head and just feel this amazing energy that you have the ability to connect with at your own will. You can use this energy whenever you want. This is a gift to you from the universe. This is your true state. So feel that beautiful energy radiating. You can share that energy with the earth, with your environment. And now we're going to just work with the angels for a prayer to help us to feel safe when we use our abilities, to feel a self-love and acceptance with these abilities, and also a greater understanding of these abilities, that these abilities are a gift. Most of all, we're going to bless our ability to read energy and empathically feel energy. We're going to connect with the superpower of that gift, that it helps us to navigate our world, that it helps us to understand things, and it's all about living in tune with the universe. So thank you for listening to today's podcast on awakening your healing and reading abilities. This is Andrea Dumbecki, and this is Angel Life Makeover. You could reach me at angelfairyhealing.com. I do offer more intensive classes online and private sessions. If you would like to connect with me, I would love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.